Hello YouTube, Luigi here. I'm going to show you a watch that you've seen before. Last week I did a video on this watch. This is the defective one. I have a replacement on my wrist. But I want to show you the defect again because it is so unusual, and if any of you have ever heard of this before, I really want to hear from you. You know, the seller, an eBay vendor, was gracious enough to let me keep the defective one because I sent him a video on why it didn't work, and just replaced it without any question at all. Very, very upstanding kind of guy here. Okay, here's the issue. Keep your eye on the minute hand. If I put the minute hand at 12, the hour hand is supposed to point directly to 1 hour, not in between 2 hours like that. If I put the minute hand on 6, bingo, now the hour hand points directly to an hour. Somebody installed, it seems to me, somebody installed the minute hand 180 degrees wrong, which makes me think that perhaps it's an easy fix. If you can get in here, you know, take off the crystal and reverse the hand, you got another watch that works fine. But I've never heard of anything like that. I'm assuming it happened at factory. I can't imagine someone opening it up and screwing around with it between manufacturer and the sale. I'm going to put this now on one of those LED solar chargers because later I want to show you how pukey the loom is. All right, so I'm going to take this off my wrist, the other one, so we can still talk about it. This at 46 millimeters. It's just like the other one, doesn't it? At 46 millimeters, this is the largest watch I have. It's also the thickest. We're talking 14.2 millimeters thick, and it comes in at a hefty 130.5 grams, which, as I remember my metric, translates to about 16 or 17 pounds. That's a joke. I'm convinced if you wore this watch all your life on the same hand, by the time you died, that arm would be 4 inches longer than the other one. It is heavy. Why did I buy it? We'll talk about that later. Let's just get into the poop of it. What is it? It's the Invecta DNA series. You see it says, maybe you can't see it, DNA here on the band, and the light's bad enough you can't see it. And on the other side, it's the DNA series Urban, number 10402. They have a whole bunch in this series, and some are pretty loud in terms of color, but they look like a great deal of fun. I preferred this because it was more subtle. You know, some of the colors on the dials are like brilliant yellow, brilliant blue, brilliant green, brilliant red. They're a lot of fun, and they don't appear to be that much money. So you can see we have the sword hands here. We have a red-tipped second hand that moves quite smoothly in 1 second increments. The date complication is a little unusual. Today's the 15th, and you can see big red numbers on a black background, highly legible, but only in even numbers, rather. The odd number dates, such as today, are indicated by a tiny red dot between the two numbers. Now, this obviously saves space on that date wheel, and it allows them to use larger numerals for the date. You will notice the entire dial is, other than the date complication, is absent of numerals. And yet, every one of us knows exactly what every one of these indices mean. We know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's no issues here in terms of legibility. The size, it reads really, really well. What else can we say? It's got a black silicone strap and a brushed stainless case. Quartz movement, 35 millimeter lug width. I mean, this is a massive strap. And I have to tell you, it's because the strap is so wide that when this thing is around your wrist, it's actually quite comfortable because the weight and the pressure of this watch is distributed over a much wider area. It's not digging into you at any place. at any place whatsoever. Now, it has two rubber keeps and this big wide, buckle thing that are kind of hard to get into because it's rubber on rubber and they're really big. And when you move them around, it does tend to pull on your wrist hairs. So just be aware of that. If you could hang on 1 sec, I'm going to grab another watch. I don't know how to pause this. All right, sorry about that. This is a Casio Wave Scepter. Nothing fancy. I think I've had this a long time, and I think when I bought it, it was a $40 watch. But I want you to look at this. See this raised part here on the tip of the strap? Nothing fancy calls that a barb, because when it's clasped, that barb keeps. You only need one keep, and it won't fall off because the barb is raised and it keeps on there. I think that is such a brilliant idea. Obviously, you can't do that in a leather strap. You can't do that on a bracelet, but on these rubber or silicone straps, you can see how subtle that is. I don't see why everybody doesn't do this. It looks like a really great idea to me. Okay? All right, back to this guy. It's a quartz movement. It does have the hack. This is synced with my atomic watch that you just saw. That's a Wave Scepter watch. Push-pull crown. A sign buckle, I told you that. It has 100 meters of water resistance. And the hack so you can sync it. Why did I buy this watch? You learn. We learn as we experiment with things. My last watch was 142 was a 42 millimeter Invecta Aviator, and I'm sorry, it was a 44 Invecta military Aviator, and that's smaller than this, and it's about as big as I probably want to keep this. This one's 46, and I would say it's probably bigger than it needs to be for me. I'm glad I bought it. Now I know more about the size, my size limits. It's a good looking watch, which is why I bought it. I bought it for its minimalist design, and yet its legibility, and yet its color as well. So just because we don't have numerals on the indices doesn't mean anybody's going to have any trouble reading what time it is. But because of its thickness, I mean, if you looked at it head on, you'd say, oh, nice dress watch. But because of its thickness, it's my observation that most dress watches are quite thin, so they slip neatly underneath the cuff of a shirt when one is wearing a suit. I get that. That makes perfectly sense. This is so thick, I don't think it's going to tuck in neatly underneath the cuff of a shirt. Let me tell you what I do like about this. You see how the lugs bend down? If they didn't, this would be cantilevering off both sides of your wrist. This hugs the wrist nicely. Even though the case is large, this doesn't make it look large as you wear it. It's kind of a nice thing. So these are hard to find, by the way. There's plenty of the other ones with the loud faces, the fun faces, the really brightly colored faces. But this one was hard to find. And I was just glad that even though the first one was defective, the guy was had another one. And his listing said he had two others, so I knew that. And he checked it out before he shipped it, and I'm very, very happy with it. I'm learning about the size. The weight is, what can I tell you? The weight is the weight. But I love the way it looks, which is why I bought it. Now, all this while, I've had the other watch under a solar watch charger, and that's the Lume. That's it. It's just there on handles. It's green in spite of the hands being red. That surprised me. It's green. And I don't know how long that lasts. And, people make a big deal about looms. I get it. I like loom. I like seeing loom in action on other people's videos. But I have to tell you, I've never gotten loom to last very long. And remember, I don't buy high-end watches. That's probably half of it. And yet I've had to ask myself honestly, how many times in the dark did you really need to know the time? Because what I usually end up doing is this, if I need to know the time in the dark. Alexa, time.
It's 8:09 p.m.
Well, there you go. I hope you heard that. That's my buddy Alexa. Where would I be without her? All right, that's it, people. The Invecta DNA Urban 10402. This is the one that works. Someone told me all you have to do is get into this thing, take the minute hand off, and reverse it. If it's really that simple, it sounds like an inexpensive fix. Okay, and I think it's worth getting fixed. It's brand new, for God's sake, and I don't need two of them. So, if anybody's interested in this, send me a comment and we can talk about it. Okay, all right. God bless you. I love you all. Take good care. Bye bye.